So we will continue from the previous lecture. There is the module classroom questions and solution of the chapter moving charge and magnetism. So we have done till question number 14 in the previous lecture. Now you can see question number, we have done till question number 13 in the previous lecture. Okay, so we will start from question number 14. So you have four charged particles and they are projected perpendicularly into a magnetic field with equal speed. Okay, so which one will have minimum frequency? Okay, so which one will have minimum frequency? So what was the relation for frequency? QB by 2 pi m was the relation. QB by 2 pi m, right? So you see here in this situation, except charge and mass, rest of the things are constant. Like magnetic field is constant, 2 pi is constant. Now, four charged particles. In the given option, you see proton, electron, lithium plus and helium plus is given. So for Q by m for proton will be E by mp. For electron will be E by me. For lithium plus, it will be E by 6 times of mp, isn't it? Mass of lithium plus, or in lithium nucleus, what do you have? You have three protons and 3 neutrons, isn't it? In lithium 6. And then you have helium plus, which is alpha, E by 4 of mp. In alpha particle, that is helium nucleus, you have 2 proton and 2 neutron. Now since Q is same or the charge is same for all of them, the denominator is maximum in case of lithium plus, therefore frequency will be minimum for this, isn't it? Whichever has maximum mass. And which has minimum mass? Minimum mass is this electron. So electron will have maximum frequency and the lithium plus will have minimum frequency. Okay, so frequency of lithium plus is minimum as mass is highest. Okay, option number C. Question number 15. Charged particle moves along a circle under the action of magnetic and electric field. Then which of the option is correct? You see, when you have an electric field, then what happens? A charged particle moving parallel or anti-parallel to an electric field, or you can say just when you have an electric field, say in this manner. So electric field, in this case positive charge, if it goes along this way, this will be accelerated. If the positive charge is going along the left, then it will be retarded. Okay, so if you project the positive charge in this manner, then it will go along this way, then along the field. Now in case of a magnetic field, whenever like to move in a circular path, okay, so you have a magnetic field. In that situation, the charged particle, if you allow the charged particle to enter perpendicularly, then the charged particle will describe a circular path. Depending on the positive or negative charge, it will be right or left. Okay, so for this situation, your E has to be 0, but B not equal to 0. Okay, so your answer is option number B. Next, question number 16. You have a cylindrical conductor of radius r, which is carrying a constant current. The plot of the magnitude of magnetic field B with respect to distance versus D, okay, from the center of the conductor is correctly represented by which of the given options? Now this theory we haven't covered before, but we can see it very briefly here. For a conductor B inside, okay, I'll just do the solution at first, then I'll elaborate on it. For a conductor, magnetic field inside is always proportional to R, okay, but magnetic field outside is always inversely proportional to R. So based on that, your correct answer will be option number 3. Okay, now you see how it comes. Inside, say you have this wire and the wire has a radius R, say this radius is R. You are finding out the magnetic field inside, right? So inside means you consider this section. say this distance is, now consider these distances r and consider this one is capital R, the radius of the wire is capital R. Okay, therefore what will be the current carried by this section, I mean cross section small r, the wire of cross section is small r, that will be current per unit area into this cross section area, okay. So let's see, firstly you'll apply Ampere's circuital law, okay. Integral B dot dl equal to mu naught I prime. This I prime is the current passing through this section, okay, I mean the cross section of, or the wire of cross section is small r. Now this I prime will be total current per unit cross section area multiplied by pi small r square. This will be the value of I prime. Alright, so on the left side you have B integral dl, which is B into 2 pi r. 2 pi r is the circumference of the of this wire, okay, equal to, you have mu naught IR, okay, or just write down as the way it is, mu naught I r square divided by r square. Now what is the value of B? You see B is equal to mu naught I r divided by pi r square, that is what you get, by 2 pi r square. Therefore since the radius r is constant, capital R is constant, now we were finding out a relation between B and this r, okay, which is inside the wire. So B is proportional to R, okay, the first relation we got it. The second one, for outside, what do you do? For outside, again, say this is the wire has radius capital R, and you are finding out the magnetic field outside. This distance is small r. So integral of B dot dl equal to mu naught I again. So here B into 2 pi r, okay, because you are taking the circumference or perimeter up to this point, okay, from here to here, this circle. On the right side you have mu naught I only. So B is equal to mu naught I by 2 pi r, which is B inversely proportional to R. So you got the relations. Okay, I hope this is clear. Question number 17. Ionized hydrogen atoms and alpha particles with same momenta, they enter perpendicularly to a constant magnetic field. The ratio of their radii of their paths will be what? Okay, the ratio of the radii of their paths will be what? So firstly, what is the relation for radius? Relation for radius is mb by qb, which is like p by qb, you can write down. Now r is inversely proportional to charge because momentum is given same. So r for hydrogen divided by r for alpha is equal to charge for alpha divided by charge for hydrogen. So which is twice e by e, and this is 2 by 1. Option number A. Question number 18. This is a very simple question. So two straight, well, you can see the diagram directly. Now you have two wires placed in this manner, perpendicular to each other. Now this wire is carrying current in the upward direction. Okay, this wire is carrying current in the upward direction. This wire is carrying current in this direction. You have to find out the net magnetic field point at the point P. Now this point P is at a distance d from the first wire and at a distance d from the second wire as well. So it's equidistant. It is equidistant from both the points. Now you see, if you apply right hand thumb rule, okay, place your thumb along this direction and then you will see the fingers curling, they tend to enter this point P. Similarly, here if you apply the you like align the thumb along this direction, right, the fingers will point outward the point P. So due to the first wire it was entering inside, if I write down, like if I write this as B1, or if this wire is 1, this wire is 2. Now B1 is entering, okay, at the point P, and B2 is coming out at the point P. They are at the same point, right? And since they are equidistant and the value of the current is same, therefore they'll cancel out each other, and the current value will and the magnetic field will be 0. Net magnetic field will be 0. Okay, next question number 19. The deflection in a galvanometer falls from 50 to 10 divisions when a shunt of 12 ohm is connected. Then the resistance of the galvanometer coil is what? Now your situation is, you see, resistance of the galvanometer. Okay, we had this relation IgG equal to, or I can say that the shunt relation for shunt resistance was S equal to IgG divided by I minus Ig, right? You are finding out galvanometer resistance, so G equal to S I minus Ig divided by Ig. Okay, now we'll see the question. Like, if you remember, in galvanometer we had a relation for current which was I equal to G phi, okay, G being the galvanometer constant and phi was the deflection. Alright, so in the first case this deflection is given as like 50. The second case the deflection falls down to 10, right? So the current I will be 50. Now if you put the diagram here, say this is the galvanometer, this is Ig, and this is the shunt. Okay, so this is I and this is I minus Ig. This is the shunt resistance. So value of I is what? The deflection in a galvanometer falls from 50 to 10 division when you connect a 12 ohm shunt. Okay, so you can consider I value to be 50G and Ig value to be 10G. Okay, so once you put those values in this relation and do the calculation, S value is 12 and this is I minus Ig, that is 50G minus 10G divided by 10G. Okay, all G will cancel and you have 12 into 40 divided by 10. 12 into 40 divided by 10, right? So 48 ohm is the answer. Option number D. Okay, now in some cases, I mean, you can also do it directly. Like you can show the current to be 50 and Ig to be 10. You can omit this G and do the calculation. Okay, now this G and this G, okay, rather we should do one thing. Let's denote this galvanometer constant as G prime, otherwise it will create a confusion with this galvanometer resistance. Okay, let's put this as G prime. In fact, you can do the entire sum without G, okay, that should not be a concern. So moving to the next question and the last question, that is number 20. So you have a circular coil of 20 turns, radius 10 centimeter, and you place it in a magnetic field of 0.10 Tesla, normal to the plane of the coil. Now if the current in the coil is 5 ampere, the torque acting on the coil is what? So your torque relation is NIAB sin 90, which is NI, A you can write down as pi r square, B sin 90 is 1. Okay, now sin 90 it is already mentioned in the question, isn't it? Like circular coil of this and radius this is placed in a uniform magnetic field normal to the plane. This normal is mentioned in the question. And you see B can be, all these values are given directly. So N value is given as 20, I value is given as 5, pi 3.1, radius is 10 centimeter, 10 to the power minus 1 whole square, into B magnetic field is 10 to the power minus 2. So on calculation you get 0.314 Newton meter. Option number C. Okay, so this is what we have in the classroom questions, and you can try out the assignments and let me know your confusions. Thank you.